Hey everyone, I'm here with a special guest, Melissa. Melissa coached with me for 12 weeks in my one-to-one coaching program, Reactivate Your Health. And she's here to share her journey through coaching and kind of where she's at now, because we've ended coaching a little bit over a month ago, right? Yep, and so she's going to give us an update too as to where she is post coaching. So if you're here, whether you're here live or replay, just head to the comments and just let us know, hey, we're here. We're here on the live. We're here on the replay. We love knowing who's following along too, and then we'll just kind of go from there. All right, hi Melissa.
Hello, Cindy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
All right, Melissa. Let's start with a little introduction. Tell the women in this community who you are. Who is Melissa?
Um, Melissa, I'm 39 and holding. No, I'm 49. I'm a wife, mom of three kids, 20, 18, and 15. And the fur babies, I got several of them, and I work at a dental office. That's me.
What about the horses?
Oh yeah, we got lots of fur babies. Dog, cat, rabbit, horse. Yeah, my daughter, it's my daughter's horse, but I'm just the wallet and the chauffeur.
Yes, yes. And that was like, I think that that's key also to kind of mention is because you were constantly having to chauffeur, but also spending a lot of time at the stables when she
Yeah,
was taking care of the horse and doing what she needed to do.
for
Um,
sure.
yeah, so it was meals on the go or taking your book to read and figuring out what we were going to do while you were sitting there kind of waiting for
For
her.
sure. I also have aging parents who live in my backyard, so that's another, I'm a daughter. So, yeah.
Yeah, and when we first started coaching, they were just starting to kind of move into your backyard. So you were just in the process of moving everything. Your house felt a little chaotic. I remember when we first started
Yeah,
coaching together and kind of getting them settled in. And that was one of the reasons why you wanted to look at coaching, right? Was because you were seeing your aging parents.
for sure. Yep. Watching um anyone age, but even your own parents and not being able to I don't know, fend for yourself or get weaker was kind of scary to me. Like it used to be bikini body, and now I just want to get up off the toilet, like,
Yeah.
right, on my own. I don't want to have my kids help me. I'm happy to help them, but it it'd be great if, when I'm 78 years old, I can still do all the things on my own so they can live their life.
Yeah, yeah, and live your best life, right?
For sure.
So, tell everybody kind of like your story. So, like where you were at with weight loss, because this journey was about weight loss, but it was also about health,
Yes.
for you because of what you'd seen in some of the older people around you. Um,
Hmm.
so tell people kind of where you were at, like your background. Like, did you try many diets? Like, where were you at that you were like, okay, I need to look for something different?
Um, I wouldn't say I was a yo-yo dieter, but I've always struggled with weight. I'm avid worker outer. I don't know how to say that properly, but I worked out all the time. I've always incorporated some form of physical activity. I enjoy it physically, mentally, emotionally, all of it. Um, but I would, be down 35 pounds and then I'd get cocky and it would slowly creep back on. Um, that happened a lot. Like, was I an extreme dieter by any means? No, I've always been about, a little bit more balance. Um, but yeah, the weight always seemed to creep back on for me. I would lose it, no problem. And then again, get cocky and it would show back up again slowly.
Yeah, and one of the things you said to me when you first took your progress photos, you kind of said like, I've been working out consistently for a long period of time, and I didn't realize I didn't look like I,
Yeah, like it was almost reverse. Like when an anorexic looks in the mirror and they see fat, I didn't. I saw strong. Um, in my mind when I got dressed, I actually felt solid. Like my husband calls me a sturdy one, like I'm solid. Um, so for me, in my head, I looked fine. And it wasn't until I took the photos that I was like, holy crap, like when did that happen? Yeah, that was a shocker.
yeah, I remember that moment. That was a,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then, okay, so you're like not really a yo-yo dieter, but you like, okay, I had the exercise thing down pat. Like that helped me physically, mentally, and emotionally on that level. And but then things weren't adding up to the results you wanted. So it was
Yeah,
either they would add up, but you couldn't sustain it because you were cocky, or they weren't adding up to you. So what
yeah.
was like that breaking point, that point where you're just like, I need something different?
I had been watching you for a while. I kind of started watching you, I don't know, a couple years ago, but then fell off watching. And then you came back around again due to a friend and a patient. And you were talking about the mental side of it and the emotional side of it. And I'm like, huh, I don't need another diet. I don't need a workout plan. What I need is the emotional and the mental side of this. So that's when I realized it was the switch, and especially going through, you know, busy being a mom and a wife and a daughter, those things were just getting in the way. And so that's what hit me, the that mental part of it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go through some of it. So, first of all, the exercise. We did a couple of tweaks with your exercise to make sure that you were progressing. Because a lot of
Yeah.
women I get, they're like, even just yesterday, it was like, how long have you been lifting your weights? And she said 2.5 years. How much have you progressed in weight? And she was like 10 pounds. I was like, 2.5 years, you've only gone up in 10 pounds? And she's like, yeah, but I'm consistent. But there was no progression there. So
Yeah.
we kind of made a little bit of tweaks there, but basically you had it. You had the workouts down pat.
Yeah.
Then in terms of nutrition, all right. So this is where, because we kind of chatted before, it's like this is where nutrition meets mindset. Can you kind of walk through like what you were doing for food that you thought was like going to get you the results that then you were like, holy, I was doing that wrong.
Um, the one thing was like in the mornings, I would have like sometimes I would have like a 3 egg omelet. So healthy, yes. I'd have veggies. I would do the carb, and I would always have only like a half a cup of carbs. So I knew that sort of thing. But then after working with you, you're like, okay, so you've got your 3 eggs. That's yes, so many protein and 3 fats. I'm like, what? I didn't realize that the eggs were a fat. I never counted them as that. Bacon in my head was a protein. So there was little things like that. And I knew vegetables were carbs, but no, I stopped putting so many tomatoes on a salad. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just really had to reorder kind of your food.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, and just make kind of like tweaks
Yeah.
to it. But then talk about the mind because you said about emotional piece. Talk about the
So
emotional connection to food.
so I didn't realize this. Like I knew, like I know that when I'm sad, I eat. When I'm happy, I eat. If I'm tired, tired's a big one because I'm up early and husband expects me to be social on the weekends. When I'm tired, I will eat. I would fall asleep on the couch and then wake up and eat food to perk myself back up for what, 30 more minutes of awake time. Or if we're out with friends, I would over snack to stay awake so that I could drive home. Um, just those types of things was what I was doing. Come home from work, homecoming clean. I would inhale all of the food before dinner and be full before even dinner hit. But then I didn't want to admit I ate all the food, so then I'd eat my dinner.
Hmm.
So that was me, definitely an emotional eater,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And then so we learned about, okay, these are your kind of like, this is how emotional eating comes up for you. These are your triggers. And as a result of these triggers, this is what you do, right? We looked at what the behavior was. And then, how did we kind of like work, I guess, like, what do you know now about emotional eating or what are you doing different about it?
We definitely talked about when we are eating, are we hungry? Or is it something that you just want? Assessing my emotions before I eat it, kind of thing. And most of the time now I am hungry. Like I'm hungry for breakfast. Um, Last night, for instance, I was falling asleep. I wanted to get through the last chapter of my book, and my first thought was, ooh, go and grab some chips. And I'm like, but I'm not hungry. I'm actually tired.
Hmm.
So I thought, you know what? The chapter will still be there in the morning. I closed my book and went to bed,
Right.
right? Whereas before I would have gotten up and ate the chips to get through the last 4 pages and then ate that before bed.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Now, one of the things that we talked about, or we did while we're coaching, was we looked at how you eat.
Yeah,
Part of that was how being mindful versus mindless. And then the other part was eating to kind of like satisfied and slowing things down. So can you talk about those? Because I think like one, I talk about them a lot, but I think that they get dismissed as like that's not really going to matter, or like I don't really know. And after doing this for 16 years with clients, it's like that's the hardest one when they get into coaching is like the mindless eating and then the
yeah,
slowing it down and eating and recognizing when you're satisfied and not overfull. And so can you talk a little bit about that?
yeah. So, and I didn't really know, well, maybe I knew I did it, but didn't recognize it so much. But you taught me that when I'm eating, I'm just to sit down with my food. Don't have my book, don't have a cell phone, just no TV, just sit and eat and enjoy and slow down. I watch my dad inhale his food all the time and I'm like, geez, man, slow down. But I was the same, which in turn made me go back for seconds all the time because I was still hungry. So now I eat slow. I do push my food around a lot on the plate. There's something about putting my fork down. I don't know. I just can't. So I just push my food around a little bit to, gather time. But that's made a huge impact. I don't go back for seconds ever anymore. Sometimes I'm full before I even finish my plate. That's still a hard one for me.
Eating
But
food on your plate?
yes,
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm like, because it's number one, it tastes good, but it's also feels wasteful at the same time. But still working on that. You just even throwing in food, like let's say we order pizza, rather than putting it on my plate, I'd throw in a slice while I was putting out all the food and getting my plate ready. And you don't realize that that piece you threw in is quite a lot of calories until, next thing you know, you eat your two pieces or whatever on your plate with a salad and you've already inhaled two pieces before, but they don't, in your mind, they don't count. You did it
Right.
before you sat down.
Yeah. Same with like, going to grab a handful of nuts or whatever. You
Yeah,
kind of said like I wasn't even really aware that I was doing it.
exactly. Or a friend's house, we have friends and there's always like snackies out. Now I get a small little saucer and I put the food on the little saucer and now I eat from that rather than picking, 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 because next thing you know, you've picked to the point of way overeating. And half the time, again, I'm not even hungry by that point. It's just to stay awake. So now I know.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Staying awake, I remember that came up a lot because you guys are so
Yeah.
on the weekend. And so we talked about, do you want a bubbly? Like we talked about different, can you take a protein shake? Like we talked about different strategies to try until we figured out kind of
Yeah.
what would work for you because
Yeah.
staying awake was still needed.
For sure. I know. Sometimes they're okay with me having a nap every once in a while.
Nice. Yeah. And then one of the things you kind of said is now that you've kind of been more mindful about your eating and slowing down your eating, you notice other people's eating behaviors now, and you
For
can't,
sure.
because you see it, you can't unsee it,
You
right?
can't unsee it.
Yeah, I remember
Nope.
one time I was in a staff room and there was two women that were talking about weight loss and they were like talking about how they needed to lose weight and they were like, I just think it's my hormones. I just don't think it's going to happen or what have you. And as I'm looking at their lunch, she had finished a salad and it had some sort of meat in it or whatever, and it looked to be like heavy in dressing. And then she had a granola bar after, and then she had an orange afterwards. And then I was like, well, I don't know you, and I'm not judging you, but in that food meal, I was like, all those things are pretty healthy, but you perhaps the missing piece was that we're not really understanding the impact of having that many carbs, for example, or that much at one meal.
Yeah.
And also she was scrolling and talking at the same time. So it's like you can't unsee it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
So tell me
sure.
about that experience for you. Like, what are you noticing now?
I think we talked about this a while ago, but yeah, just even, people having their lunch, everyone is on their phones the whole time. And again, I don't judge because that was me. And now I just sit there and eat my lunch awkwardly. That's okay. I do find the inhaling happens. And sometimes it is because they're short on time, but sometimes it's just they're inhaling. Um, Even I saw someone make a healthy breakfast, and it literally was 3 eggs, an avocado, and some bacon. And I'm like, oh, all the fats, like that was be my all my fats for the full day. So I do notice all these things now. I don't say anything. It's to each their own, but still now I'm observant, but it's a constant reminder for myself not to do those things.
Yeah. And it's
So
also a reassurance for you too. Like I have the plan, I know it works for me. I don't need to opt into that thing that's coming
yeah.
too. What do you feel was like the turning point in your coaching journey that you were like, holy shit, this is working.
Um, for me, it's funny, a friend asked me this all the time. She goes, what was the most um what is the most significant thing that you learned? And part of it is the mindful eating, the slowing down of your food and sitting and eating with intention. That's probably the biggest help for me for sure. That one right there.
Yeah.
Because the amount, like going back for seconds and inhaling food before you eat food. So definitely huge,
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that one. And do you remember this conversation too, where like, first of all, your husband was like, I'll support you in doing this, but I don't want you to be forcing it on me. And I don't want you to be like, restricting everything. And then, you're kind of stuck. And do you remember that one time where he was like, he had brought it up somewhere in the middle of the journey or whatever, he brought it up again. And you were like, I've been doing it this whole time.
Yeah, he had bought, I don't know, I think he had bought cookies because as much as he's a beer drinker, during the week we have our cup of tea at night, or like little old biddies. And he's like, "Oh, I bought us cookies for tea." He goes, "Oh, but can you have cookies?" And I'm like, "I can have whatever I want." And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, haven't you noticed that if I want a piece of cake, I have a piece of cake?" Or I said, "I'm not doing it all the time. And if I do have it, I have a small piece and I sit down and I eat it. But I'm like, I haven't given up anything. Have you not even noticed?" And he's like, "Not really." So it was funny. He was like, "Oh, you can't have that. It's bad or it's taboo." And I'm like, "No, I can have whatever I want."
Yeah, yeah, I loved that conversation with him too because it was like he didn't even notice that your habits had shifted so much.
Yeah, no, and it didn't affect him at all.
Yeah, because often that's
Yeah.
like scary part, right? Is like husband is supportive, but not when it comes to like supportive with the words,
Yeah.
but not necessarily supportive in life. And then they're fearful that that's going to change the dynamics of the relationship or what have you. It didn't
Yeah.
get more work for you. He actually shared some of the dinner responsible, like you guys shared cooking at dinner.
Yeah.
You still made it work. Like you were having tikka masala, like you were
Yeah.
all kinds of different flavors for dinner.
Yeah, for sure. He likes to cook weirder meals or like more ethnic meals, which is fine. Just the odd time he wants to do more noodly dishes. So I just make sure I have some rice on hand. I just find I don't mind the noodly dishes, but I feel like the rice, I don't know, for whatever reason, I feel like I get more rice than a noodle. I don't know.
You do.
Yeah.
You
Good. It's not,
do.
I'm not crazy.
Yeah, yeah. How do you feel now in comparison to when you first started?
Definitely more in control. I feel lighter.
You
Um,
you are physically lighter as
I
well.
am physically lighter.
Mentally
Um,
too.
definitely more in control for sure. Like the techniques and tools that you gave me are ones that I'm not letting go of at all. I'm working on making them so habit, I don't have to think about them anymore.
Yeah, and we've been done coaching for like a little bit over a month now.
Yeah,
We purposely set up kind of this interview so we could do a little check-in post coaching.
yeah,
And we kind of landed on, hey, you're still doing 90% of the habits. As to when we're coaching, you've lost a little bit more weight, your fitness routine is still up, like
yeah,
it's like, and then we even discussed like, okay, these are just kind of looks like it's like just these two tweaks that we need to make in order to kind of get you to the next step that you want to reach.
yeah.
So that's got to feel good too, in the sense of like you didn't finish it and then revert back.
For sure. That's a win for me. And that was, I mean, wasn't my full goal. I had another goal in mind, but yeah, no, that for me was even losing more or even just maintaining, that was still a win for me because not reverting back and tacking on the weight again, that's not where I want to be
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. What are you most proud of?
Um, Probably figuring it all out, fitting it all in because life is crazy. But yeah, just fitting it all in and making it work because it's really not when you figure it out, it's not that hard. Like, and meal prep, that for me is easy. It doesn't have to be this three different meals. Like, honestly, I just have some carbs, some protein prepped, and then it's easy. Stuff on hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's we didn't do everything all on day one. We gradually
Mm-mm.
shifted stuff
That
to
was slow for sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then tell me what you would say to the woman who is watching this, who is like, I just don't have time. I'm going to do this on my own. I already know what to do. What do you say to her?
So I didn't have time and I knew what to do as well. Um, Sometimes having someone in your corner, even just giving you different tools and techniques is very helpful. You're more apt to follow through when there's someone there guiding you and watching you. Um, it was a game changer for me. I know I was a little apprehensive at first, but I think I was also afraid of failing at the same time. So, um, but no, it is definitely very helpful. And you think you're going to do it on your own, but until you have the techniques and the tools, you're just going to keep repeating the same thing you've done all along.
Yeah, and the one valuable thing too with coaching is like when you're in a pattern, you don't see it because you're in it, but the
Yeah.
coach can actually pull out, wait a minute, this is the second time that this has come up, or wait a minute,
Yeah.
you said this.
Yes.
What did you mean by that? So that
Yeah.
you can kind of explore where your thinking is at, and then you can see kind of the patterns because when you're in it, you can't see it.
No. And you were good with all of the questions. All of the questions.
Right. Well, because but it's like what you said, right? You obviously like you probably thought walking in it was like going to be like the nutrition was going to be the biggest game changer. And yes, we made tweaks there, right, to optimize it
Yeah.
for you, but you probably didn't expect it to be you were wanting the mental shift, but you probably didn't expect the mental shift that you ended up walking away with.
No, not really. No, I don't know what I expected. I just knew I didn't need another diet. Didn't need another workout program, but I did need the mental shift. I just didn't know how that was going to look because I'd never worked on that part before.
Yeah. And then when it was like you didn't know that that was going to come up, right? But it was like that's the reason why it's sticking. So that's why the reason the hard questions get asked is so that
Hmm.
sticky in the end, right? So the
Yeah.
mind does shift with what you are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say to I guess final words of wisdom? Like you have the woman who's like, I've been putting this off because life is busy, and I really want it. Like, what do you say to that woman who's like on the fence?
You know what? Life is always going to be busy. Like I keep waiting for that moment or that moment that I have free, but it's never free. It really isn't. You're always going to be busy. Life is always going to be lifing. So you have to do it now because if you can't do it while you're busy, what makes you think you're going to do it any other time? Like, do you know what I mean? Like I just feel like
That's the
life
reason
isn't
why you need it, is because
yeah, to cope with life while it's busy and chaotic and hectic,
yeah, like I'm
right?
pretty sure you weren't expecting to move your parents in when you did.
That it was a lot. No, I didn't. My husband brought it up. It was a great idea, but it was a lot of time in the making. And then the amount of work to do it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So it was a lot, but did it.
Right.
And
But
then,
that
yeah,
that goes to show like, right? Like it's you're never ready because it's always like something else falls, right? I'm pretty sure like your daughter likes horseback riding and then all of a sudden you buy a horse and that means something completely different. And then it's like, well, I was good, but now that comes up and then your aging
yeah,
parents come up. Like it's always shifting.
always, always, always. Even when you think you have, yesterday I thought I had 5 minutes to have a coffee on the patio, and then my mom's dog became ill. So then it was a vet trip. Like, you're always going to be busy.
Yeah.
That's never changing. So just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah. That I like what you said too. I wrote it down. Life is going to be lifing.
Yep. It's always going to be lifing.
Always going to be lifing. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for doing this and sharing your story with other women in the coaching program, or sorry, other women that are in the group or in the community. And if you're watching this, it'd be really great for you to head into the comments. If you haven't already said hi, say hi, but also just to share what's your one big takeaway from this. Because we want to move from like, what I call hoarding information, like having all of the information into being an imperfect action taker. So you listen to this and it's like, okay, what piece am I going to take with me now and start taking imperfect action on? So that'd be great if you could drop that into the comments. I'm going to thank you for joining us today.
I think.
Bye, Melissa.